Yeah, why not? Alright, focus. I believe I'm focused. Alright, hey, what up? It's Alistair. It's late at night on a fucking Wednesday. I've got some actual sewing to do, but sometimes I get stuck in a little hump where I just don't want to do stuff. And I find the best way to get out of that hump is to do something, just a little something for myself. So today, I'm gonna make the brando tea for Mood. Mood has its problems. Mood is, first and foremost, a website for selling fabric in New York. But it gives you a bunch of free patterns. So we're going to use their t-shirt pattern, which is pretty good. And I'm just going to pump it out. I don't need to read their instructions, so I don't know if they're any good. It's a t-shirt, it goes together pretty easy. Let's see how we go. I'll film some steps and voice over some footage. Getting into it now. Alright, so here we go. I didn't exactly lay out or clear my sewing desk adequately in order to do this in the most efficient manner, but here I am laying out the pattern pieces. So I believe I'm cutting, well, this is either the front or the back, which is as instructed, cut on fold with a rotary cutter with a decently sharp blade. Going around the top now, which you can't see, which is out of frame. Very nice mise en scène. And then down the sides and the back. Missing that little corner nick as usual. Now I'm flipping the whole thing around so I can cut the other way. I seem to have picked up some variety of, I think that's a drip off the side of my can of beer when I was drinking. So there we go. Set it all up for the second one. Unfolding the next pattern piece, which is the back. Getting everything to sit nice and flat underneath, because if you cut decently, it'll save you some time adjusting things while you sew it. Measure twice, cut once, and all that bullshit. Anyway, couldn't find my pattern weights. They were underneath some fabric, which was also on the desk, so I'm just using a roll of tape and my can of beer here. And then I've missed a little spot there, so gone back through and gotten that. And I just need the two sleeves. And I'm not doing this again in the most efficient way. I'm doing this in sort of the most fabric efficient way in order to get the most shirt out of the smallest amount of piece of fabric. So there's sleeve number 1. Making sure I'm cutting nice and close. I probably was deep in thought there, staring at the bit of fabric, trying to find the appropriate location to get a bit of sleeve with the grain line pointing in the right direction, and the impromptu pattern weights once again. Just double checking the direction of the curl of the corner of the stretch fabric to see which was the right side and the wrong side. I'm sure it wouldn't really matter on a t-shirt, but, you know, I like to have everything all matched up. And here I am, just some scrap offcut spandex, which is rolling really aggressively on me, making it really hard to cut out this pattern piece, which was the collar. So you can see me mucking with the rolling edges, trying to get it to roll, trying to measure it. And then I eventually give up on this and just go to my just flat plastic ruler, measure that, fold out the fabric, and then cut it that way. So yeah, I go, alright, that's about 8 inches by 2.5 inches, so I make some adjustments. Well, 8 inches folded over, so about 16 inches. Despite being Australian, I don't know why I work in inches in fabric. I just think it's because that's the squares that I have. Because my big cutting mat is in inch squares, so it's just easy to eyeball for me. Alright, here we go. Overlocking time. One could, of course, just zigzag stitch up these sides. You might even get away with a straight stitch on the sides, but I have the overlocker, so I will use it. So that's the collar going through now. I believe I'm going to do probably the side seam. Yes. So here I am lining up side seam from underarm down to hip. No, I lied. That's a sleeve. All right, did a sleeve first. Getting the other sleeve, making sure I'm folding it the right way. Next sleeve going through. So that's both sleeves done. Now it will be the side seams. Lining it up. Making sure everything's sitting nicely and that I've got my fabrics, you know, right sides together. And here we go. Just letting the overlocker do most of the work, ever so slightly helping the fabric through, not pulling it from behind to avoid sort of ruffling and stretching, which is something you can get if you give it the classic mum stretch where you're yanking both sides flat as the fabric passes underneath. Alright. Finishing off the other side seam. Adjusting the shot. We'll see if this was a good decision or not. Doing the shoulders now, and I don't think it was a good decision. I think I would better off looking from on top, because now you're going to get great shots of my wrist cuffs. Oh, well, there you go. So that's both shoulder seams done. Now I'm going to set the sleeves. I only use 4 pins, one at the point where the side seam meets the underarm seam, and then halfway, so just sort of folding, pulling the side seam to find, not the side seam, the armhole to find the halfway point, and then the highest point of the sleeve cap, attaching those two, and then just sort of feeling around the sleeve to make sure that it sort of lays flat enough, nice enough against the sleeve cap. Alright, lining it up, and time to go. So you'll see me rotate the garment underneath as we go through, because I find, yeah, you can see, yeah, very nice close-up of the very nice cotton jersey there. Yeah, I find it easier to, rather than going inside the circle of the sleeve, I find it easier to go around the outside. Which may or may not be the correct way to do it. I'm sure there are positives and negatives to this, but in my opinion, the easier way to do it. Here I am, pinning the next one. And here we go, next sleeve. Running it all the way through, flipping it inside out just to check that I haven't missed any spots. And I appear to have not. So now I'm going to lay the collar on. So folding the collar over on sort of the point where the seam meets, pinning that in place, then pulling to find halfway, and then pulling to find halfway on the collar, and attaching those two locations. Making sure that the spandex isn't rolling up in any sort of annoying manner. Rotating around, finding halfway the other way, pinning those two together, and including a little bit of fluff, and then pulling it flat, and then finding halfway between the other two. Because the collar needs to be tighter than the neck hole. And here we are, adjustment to the shot again. Ah, there we go, this one should actually be half decent. So yeah, you should be able to see that I'm adding some tension to the spandex as it goes around, and letting the cotton jersey lay flat. Because in order for the collar of a t-shirt to lay flat, it needs to be more tense, shorter than the collar it's actually attaching to. So there we are, finishing that seam off. Flipping it around. And going to top stitch the collar first, I believe. Yes. There we go. I believe this is about a 4-inch wide, 4mm wide and 3mm long zigzag stitch. And I'm just letting everything lay flat as it goes under the foot. Giving it the ever so slightest bit of attention just to get the spandex to sit flat. Alright, now here I go in a way that you absolutely should not do this. I've just folded it roughly under, and I'm just full sending on a blind hem. I have no idea how much and how far over I'm catching. I'm just feeling it, and I'm just going. Do not do this. Pin the hem, measure it, iron it, and then run it through the sewing machine. Do not do an Alistair. Do not just decide I am going to blind hem this just wildly. It did work out. However, could have gone awfully. Yet, it somehow worked out. I could have also done something different, and probably if I am going to make some t-shirts to sell, which I may be doing in the near future, I will most likely use a twin needle and just use a straight stitch. Whereas in this occasion, I'm just going with the single needle and the zigzag stitch. Stretch needle, of course, because I am working with jersey, which does have some stretch, and I'm usually working with spandex, which has a lot more stretch, so your jersey and or ballpoint needle usually isn't enough for me. I need that extra, whatever it's got, that the special sauce that makes a stretch needle work. And there we are. So you can see the pandemonium that is the sewing desk. And I have a look at that seam, and I'm actually pretty happy with it. So flip it inside out. So boom, there we go. I'm now wearing the shirt. It took me about 40 minutes. A couple of things are a little bit ready. Like you can see, top of these just was teasing it a little bit too much, and so it's got a little bit more tension in the sleeve head rather than the actual sleeve. That'll come out in the wash. Honestly, the hem's got a little bit of tunneling. I could have used a narrower zigzag, or I could have used my twin needle. They'd look a bit more professional, but well, I really don't care. Full sending them, just blind. Just feeling an inch with my fingers was a bit risky, but hey, I really wanted this done pretty quickly. It took me about 40 minutes. You know, if you took a bit of extra care in those couple of spots, you're looking at an hour. T-shirt an hour, pretty good. Plus, at the time for cutting out and sticking together the pattern, I believe that took me 10-15 when I did it. And well-deserved beer. So I'm going to put one of my prints on it, whether that be matte battle or double wrist lock, we'll see. And there you go. It's how to make a t-shirt. This is a size 38, and I'm 70 kilos and 6 foot. We'll insert standing Alice there doing the fucking fit pick poses if you want to see what it looks like on a human being. There you go. All right, see you all next time.